When you book a trip to the island of Mallorca, the typical expectation involves sunny beaches, coastal winds, and maybe a quiet afternoon by the Mediterranean. But the most spectacular environment on this island isn't found anywhere along the coast. It is sitting in total darkness, 25 meters underground. The entrance to the Cuevas del Drach, the Dragon Caves, starts quietly in a sunlit garden before dipping sharply into the limestone. And as any local guide will warn you as you squeeze inside, please watch your head on the stalactites. They take about 4,000 years to grow, and nobody wants to file the paperwork for breaking one. To understand the sheer scale of this natural wonder, you have to take a 1,200-meter walk down into the dark. Bureaucrats have known about this very place for centuries. A local governor filed a memo noting the Old Cave in 1338. By 1632, historians had started recording its local nickname. Fishermen swore a mythical dragon lived inside, guarding hidden pirate gold and Templar treasure. That legend kept curious locals at a safe distance, which was probably a good thing. In 1878, 2 tourists wandered inside without a proper guide, lost their way in the pitch black, and wandered blindly in the dark for 30 terrifying hours before being rescued. Even with stories of people nearly dying in the dark, the cavern exerted a strange gravitational pull on the era's most prominent thinkers. Eccentric Austrian archdukes and passing astronomers became obsessed with mapping it. The accounts of these early dangerous descents eventually reached the author Jules Verne. The legendary author even featured the location in one of his novels, dubbing it the most beautiful cave in the world. The modern descent winds through 4 highly distinct, interconnected chambers, starting with the dry upper reaches of the Black Cave and the White Cave. You are walking through an environment that began forming during the Miocene era, roughly 11 million years ago, as slightly acidic groundwater slowly dissolved the island's limestone base. This timeline visualizes the extreme math behind the cavern's formations. The stalactites hanging from the ceiling grow at a rate of roughly 1 centimeter every 100 years. A single modest formation has been actively dripping and building since before the Roman Empire existed. Over millions of years, those slow-motion drips accumulate into massive, towering structures. They build natural columns that look like melting wax or ancient temple ruins. The sheer density of these formations is staggering. The floor is covered in thousands of rocky obstacles, creating an alien labyrinth that was effectively impossible to navigate safely in the dark. The effort to finally conquer that maze began in 1896, funded by Archduke Ludwig Salvator of Austria. He hired the French scientist Edouard Alfred Martel, the man widely considered the father of speleology, to conduct a rigorous scientific survey of the deep chambers. Martel charted the dead ends and the drops, turning a lethal trap into a safely explorable path. But the human mapping project didn't ruin the mystery of the caves. It simply paved the way to the massive secret waiting at the absolute bottom. At 25 meters underground, the dry stone suddenly gives way to Lake Martel. It is 117 meters long and up to 12 meters deep. The water sits in absolute darkness, yet it is completely clear. This cross-section shows a hydrological twist. The water is slightly salty, maintaining hidden subterranean connections to the Mediterranean Sea. Because of this, as the moon shifts the ocean outside, the underground lake's water level actively rises and falls in response. Yet, despite the tidal push from the sea, the lake's surface frequently settles into perfect stillness, creating massive mirror illusions of the ceiling above. By 1935, local officials decided that simply showing people the geology wasn't quite enough. They wanted to turn the subterranean lake into a theatrical stage. They brought in Catalan engineer Carles Buigas. At the time, Buigas was famous for creating the most explosive public water displays in the country, including the colossal Montjuic fountains in Barcelona. He took his knack for immense spectacle underground, trading explosive water jets for a highly precise, subtle electrical array, designed to simulate the glow of a morning sunrise across the dark lake. Buigas's lighting system was built to serve as the opening act for a daily tradition that has continued uninterrupted for 9 decades. To end the tour, visitors sit in the dark and wait. Out of the shadows, 4 musicians in wooden boats emerge onto the water, playing a live Baroque concert right in the middle of the cavern. It is an 11-million-year-old ecosystem acting as a world-class concert hall, and for the locals of Porto Cristo, it is just a standard Tuesday.